I'm one of those people where I don't care how broke I am. I will never want extra hours at a job. I will never cover for anyone. I really want to work as least as possible. Whenever bosses say, do you want extra hours, or like, do you want to work these days? Absolutely not. And I hate when they act like they're gifting it to me. Like, would you like more hours? That is like throw up to me. Absolutely. Like, I really would love less hours. I would rather be extremely broke with free time than rich and working all the time. I really hate working, hate. I think I'd be better off as like a farmer, or honestly like a landscaper. I think that I like that better because it's actual work.
On behalf of all former landscapers, it's some of the hardest work I've ever done in my life. I'd like to give her a shovel.
I don't want actual work. I think I want to be like a farmer.
A farmer? Farmers are freaking out everywhere.
Farmers are known for just strictly working 9 to 5 in an air-conditioned office.
They make bankers look like,
and then going to Starbucks for their $8 coffee.
What's happening in this culture here? And I don't listen. I've got a young daughter, so I don't want to demonize this young lady, but this is even about her.
She put it out.
She did. You're right. And we're reacting to it. What's going on culturally? Because she represents a lot of people.
I think one of the narratives I see a lot is this idea. Well, first of all, you have kind of a Marxist interpretation, or a modern Marxist interpretation of work that treats it like it's all exploitation.
Correct.
And on top of that, we also have an environment where there has arguably never been more like cheap leisure ability in the history of humanity. And so people have almost, because we live in such relative wealth and prosperity, people almost have this expectation that I have to work 40 hours, to feed myself. That just seems so wrong. And whereas the vast majority of human history is like, what do you mean 40 hours a week? So I think it's unreasonable expectations. I think some of it is political ideology working itself into the way people view work. I also think it's something where there's this idea that work is the tedious thing that you do so you can get to your hobbies. Whereas, well, no, work is your ability to actually engage in this creative and productive process whereby, especially within what we would call a marketplace, a market economy, you get to make your life better by making somebody else's life better. You get to provide products and services, and you get to think about, what they need and what you need, and you get to engage in exchange. And it really is pretty incredible when you think about what has been made possible by people not being selfish, but self-interested, because we have to be, and then working in conjunction with other free people in order to provide those goods and services. And so I think that first and foremost, we need to reinvigorate this notion of doing a job well. And again, this is another reason why in Scripture it talks about do everything as unto the Lord. When you do a job well, even if it's a simple job, there's a certain degree of joy you get in that on being good at what you did. That's first and foremost, because not every job is going to be your dream job, right? But all work can have value and can bring joy if you enter into that process with the right attitude and the right expectations.
Correct.
Right now, I'm willing to bet she believes I want to work as little as possible, but I still want all this stuff. Right. And if I don't have all this stuff and the only way I can get it is through work, well, then something's wrong with the universe because I deserve all this stuff. Why? Well, because that person has that stuff. Okay, but that person is engaging in the work necessary to have the stuff.
She talks about, I'd rather be, poor, instead of rich.
I'm sure that's...
And work hard. What she doesn't understand is rich people work really, really hard. Yeah. And then when they get rich, they have a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
She misses the whole thing. Yeah. I watched this, and the first thing I thought was, I don't think that she has ever experienced any type of hard work herself. You want to know something really scary? You might be sleeping on poison. That's right. No drama here. Most mattresses are full of polyurethane foam, synthetic fibers, and chemical flame retardants. But this is why I love my avocado green mattress. They're made with certified organic materials that help you sleep cooler, deeper, and healthier. And you're not sacrificing comfort either. Don't let your bed be haunted by chemicals. Head to avocadogreenmattress.com/Ken today, and you can take an extra $50 off the sale price with the code KEN50. Avocado, dream of better.
No, I think there's something to young people. In fact, it's interesting now, they're coming out with all these studies demonstrating that one of the leading indicators of future success is children that had chores. They had duties and responsibilities that they were expected to complete. I think the same thing is true with jobs. Now, I can remember the first time my oldest daughter was going to go get her first job, and she was getting the job with a local coffee shop. And our friend Brittany had the coffee shop, and she had worked incredibly hard. She was the youngest female business owner to ever have a business on Davis Street. She'd worked just so incredibly hard to build this. And I remember I told Lily before she went to it, I said, I want you to understand something. It's common vernacular to say your job, but I want you to understand that it's actually Brittany's job. She's the one that's providing you an opportunity.
That's good.
You don't own the job. You own your labor. You own your personality. You own your work ethic. You own your, all those things. And you deserve to get as much money as you can for the job that you're going to do with those things that you own. And she deserves to get the best worker, right, for what she's going to pay. And as long as you can have a mutual respect for that, you can go into a situation and you can be grateful for the opportunity and she can be grateful for what you provide. And so now we've got gratitude going both ways. But instead, I think we've trained a generation to believe that their employer is the enemy. Correct. Now, look, there's bad employers,
yes,
right? There's bad employees. But to your point, it's this idea of going into a job with the proper mindset that even if it is something that is just kind of rote manual labor, I'm not necessarily picking up some sort of grandiose skill set or I'm not engaged in my career, but I am doing something productive. And how do you know it's productive? Because they're willing to pay you to do it.
That's correct.
There is something in that exchange that does give somebody a sense of pride and purpose. I got to get up. I got to dress a certain way. I got to be there on time. I got to do these things. Those are all incredibly important habits to develop for future success. The other thing too that I think is interesting, even in some of the most, not all, but in some of the most mundane jobs, if you're creative, you can find better ways to do it. And that too is this process of problem solving when you get to a thing. I don't like the way I have to do this. Is there a way I can do it better? Is there a way I can do it more efficiently,
By
more
the way,
effectively?
the harder the work is, the more innovative you become.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
I mean, when it's bone crushingly hard,
Yeah.
you are going to get innovative.
Yes.
That's a very great point.
Yeah.
Really good point.
Yeah. And so I think, no, and that's not something that we can properly replicate within a classroom environment.
Oh, no.
And I had a bill in the Virginia legislature where I was trying to allow for more apprenticeship programs. And we were trying to open up nothing dangerous, but we were trying to open up more occupations to where students could get on-the-job training. And the school system was like, well, but that's going to take him out of the classroom. I'm like, yes, correct.
Right.
It is going to do that.
Tell him what he's won.
Yeah. And so I do think there's been this push against this idea. And what we've done is we keep extending adolescence.
Yes.
And when you have that first job, you go through some major growth and development in that first job.
That's correct.
So no, I'm all about providing more of those opportunities.
Yeah, love that. If you like this highlight, click here for the entire conversation.